Good evening to all. Once again, you are in the Shadow Gallery. Welcome. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And guess what time it is? It's time for new comics, bitches! Ow! Ow. I'm getting too old for this shit. Anyway, some good stuff this week. Well, actually, it's mostly good. In fact, it's all good, pretty much. At least the stuff that I read. I don't know about you. There weren't too many great comics this week. There was only maybe one or two. But we'll talk about them. But anyway, so let's get right down to it. So we are officially in, obviously, the second month of the New 52. So I'm going to talk about some of those titles for a while. I'm going to kind of burn through some of them here. And the ones that I thought were more interesting, I'll probably take a little bit more time with, or maybe not. Who knows? So anyway, let's start with Batman and Robin. Peter Tomasi writing this. This is a much better book than it should be. This is something I am going to have to add to my pull list, because I went in, picked up my comics, didn't really even give this one a second thought so much, because this one was kind of on the fence for me as far as adding to my pull list. But after reading this issue, I think, I think I do want to add it to my pull list, because there's a lot of really interesting dynamics going on in this comic. And above all, it's, it obviously has Batman and Robin kicking a good amount of ass, but it's more the story of how Bruce Wayne is learning to be a father to his son Damian. And this particular issue focuses a lot on the how easily we can see Damian becoming not another Jason Todd, but just because he was trained as an assassin by the League of Assassins since pretty much his birth, we can see how he can go bad. We can see that he can go wrong, and one of Bruce's big worries here is, what will Damian end up like without him as kind of a guiding force? Will he, become a killer, or will he, learn the valuable lessons that he's been taught not only by Bruce but also by Dick as well? So that's just, to me, is just it's a really good dynamic, and I'm glad that's beginning. Although it seems like Bruce is kind of he's kind of clueless as far as how to really do the father-son thing, which is kind of the fun of reading it. But also leads to some confusion. I mean, he had a father, admittedly not for a very long time, but he can. I guess like I said, this is part of where the interesting stuff is coming from in this book, is how he kind of learns to be that. In this particular issue, he says that Damian's restraint is commendable, and of course there's Alfred in the background, who is like, Bruce, get this through your head. You can't just say that your restraint is commendable. You have to say things like, I'm proud of you, or whatnot. It can't just be, it was commendable. You can't just treat him like your partner. He's your son. And it does show how deadly Damian can be in a couple of scenes in the comic. And so that, I thought was a really nice, it's a nice relationships to explore, because obviously this is a lot, the dynamic here is a lot different than what we've seen in the past with, with Dick, or with Jason, or with Tim. He's not, this Robin is not an orphan, or I should say Stephanie Brown as well, since she was Robin for a little while. She's not an orphan. Damien's not an orphan. He has a mother and a father. And the mother and father are from two very, very different worlds, but kind of cut from the same cloth. So, like I said, it's a better comic than I ever thought that a Batman and Robin title would be. Mostly because of how I just really didn't care for it when it first started, when it was Grant Morrison writing it. So that's my thing with that. Resurrection Man, #2. This also was not on my pull list, but I wanted to check it out anyway. I read it. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. I was not really that familiar with their stuff until Nova, when they kind of rebooted that back a couple of years ago, however long that was ago, and that was a really cool comic. I loved Nova. Thought it was really cool. There's a lot of really interesting ideas going on. This does not. I do like the character of Mitch Shelley. I like the idea that, okay, each time he dies, he comes back and he's got a new power. But it seems like, I don't know, it seems like, is he going to die in every issue? And, he's going to come back with a new power that he barely has time to explore? So I guess that's where, and the original series that was out in the 90s that also didn't last very long. I don't expect this one to last very long either. It focused sort of, well, at least an underlying theme throughout was Mitch Shelley's conflict over the ages with Vandal Savage. And I don't see any hint of that. There's this one chick who is in the comic. She can fly. What is she? I don't understand what she is. Obviously, that's supposed to be part of the mystery. And the villainesses, the body doubles, are okay. And this is, I'm not trying to make a thing out of this, but are they supposed to be lesbians? It's fine if they are, and it's fine if they're not. But why would you have two basically almost totally naked women lying on a bed, kind of canoodling with each other, loading their guns and such? Obviously, that's what they get off on. But why would you have that if they are not gay? Unless it's just to titillate, which is, so if it's that, I guess it does bother me. If it's just that, if they're just kind of girls gone wild shit, then that does bother me. So that I just, didn't really care for the comic. Thought it was just kind of a, they're, Abnett and Lanning, they're good at the high concept stuff, but this comic is just not coming together. And that's where the biggest problem is for me. So we have Deathstroke, #2. Cal Higgins is been kicking some pretty serious ass lately as far as his comics have been concerned. Obviously I really liked Gates of Gotham that he co-wrote with Scott Snyder. I really liked the first issue of Nightwing. I really liked the first issue of Deathstroke. And this whole comic is just like, it's a great illustration of just how truly badass Slade Wilson is. I mean, this is a guy that is not to be fucked with in any way, shape, or form. You cross him, you die. It's just that simple. And he will make it happen. And that was one of the great reveals about this particular issue, is that once he's done all of this carnage against these, this mechanized, almost like kind of transformer type of dude in this, suit with like wheels, on his boots and everything like that, or on his armor, destroys the helicopter, guy gets cut in half. It's all part of Slade's plan to, and it was televised. A news chopper caught a lot of this. And Slade, he doesn't take off his mask because he's almost kind of like wearing Iron Man armor at this point in time. His mask kind of like, flips up like that. and he wants people to know that he is out there, he is back in action, and he is nobody's bodyguard anymore. He is a man who is a killer. That's what he's designed for. That's what he's done. You know, that's what he does. So, I mean, that's just a big part of who he is, and that to me was really cool. So it's a really fun issue, obviously very action-packed, and again, you know, I like the character of Deathstroke, and I'm glad that he's getting this kind of treatment here. Switching gears here, we're going to go to Punisher, number 4. By switching gears, I mean that we're going to Marvel here. I really enjoyed this issue a lot. I like that, you know, Nora Winters has this kind of, you know, this conflicted sensibility that is very much mirrors what Ben Urich, who she talks to in this issue, you know, has in regards to, you know, do I reveal something that is in, you know, the best interests of myself as a journalist, or do I keep it a secret because it will protect someone who needs protecting? And of course, that person that needs protecting by Nora Winters is the Punisher. You know, the Punisher finally has some lines of dialogue, but there is, you know, obviously he's still being, you know, they're trying to work this whole, you know, the two detectives, Bolt and Clemens, they're trying to work the murder, you know, the massacre really of the Cole Alves wedding, because there's still not really a whole lot of clues about that as far as to why that happened. But you know, I just, you know, I love the, you know, I love the moment in the comic where the Punisher, who has just, you know, barely survived his fight with the kind of newfangled Vulture, and he's taking time out of, you know, kind of, you know, healing himself, you know, dressing his wounds and everything like that to, you know, to kill a couple of drug dealers. I mean, that's the Punisher through and through. You know, I've made no secret of the fact that I'm a huge fan of Greg Rucka and pretty much, you know, everything that he does. It's lovely that, you know, that he's doing this kind of, you know, much harder boiled, much more gritty take on the Punisher in the Marvel Universe. That it doesn't mirror what Garth Ennis did with the Punisher Max stuff, or what's currently going on with the Punisher Max stuff, but it does bring that back to this character in a non-Max kind of way, in a non-adults only kind of way, or you know, recommended for mature readers, whatever you want to call it. I shouldn't say adults only, because that would kind of describe it as being something else. Another comic that's really digging on here, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 3. You know, the discovery of Miles kind of discovering his powers, you know, working with them, you know, finally, you know, maybe not understanding why he has them, but understanding what to do with them. You know, but what I didn't really understand when this started is that Peter Parker is still alive. You know, this actually takes place in, you know, a little bit in the past. And that's where we leave off with in this issue, ultimately, is that, you know, the news that Spider-Man has been shot. And so, you know, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure exactly where Bendis is taking this as far as where he wants to go, how much longer it's going to take for Miles to step into the new Spider-Man role. I'm excited as to where it's going. Again, this is a really good comic. It's a lot of heart. I love his best friend here in this comic. He's a great character, and you know, he's just something that really works for Miles to have with him. And you know, it's a really smart comic, and you know, definitely recommend picking it up. So, and we will pick it up after the break. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk more comics. Okay, so. Stick around. Be right back.